planned December 5th board meeting. Calling the meeting to order, and I will take roll call. Actually, before I do that, I wanted to introduce Gretchen. I know most of us know her from last time, which is unusual for most board members, but welcome, Gretchen. Obviously, we're really excited to have you on the board, and with your extensive experience in investment management, it's slightly different from the rest of us public members. You have a sales and marketing background, and you've served on your alma mater board, so really looking forward to having you join us.
Thank you.
So we'll go ahead and do roll call. Trustee Mena?
Here.
Trustee Lee?
Present.
Trustee Santos?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Here.
Trustee Swan?
Here.
Trustee Flicker?
Here.
And this is Trustee Ganapathy, I'm here as well. I was gonna say that Franco makes it a habit, actually, last time it wasn't by choice, to be away when we have a commendation. So I'm really honored that I get the opportunity to do that. Particularly, I'm very honored. I never thought in my life I'd be have the honor of commending a police officer serving us. So I'm really happy about that. And so I mean, Dave and I have worked closely on the audit committee through a very tumultuous time. And I really respected and continue to respect his sharp insights and his clear stance in guiding the board along and his pragmatism. And we will miss him on the board, and I wish him well in his retirement.
Thank you very much.
I'm just gonna go around and see if people want to say something before I read out the commendation, but let's start with.
Well, it's definitely hate to see Dave leave, because when he came on, it's like he was always here. He just, working the POA, being the sergeant, and all the things he went through. It was just easy. It's a good relationship. There's a lot of credibility. He knows how to adapt, and I'm gonna miss him because he's when he was, of course, the treasurer over there, also making sure that the diesel Santa program for the privileged kids got funding, among many other charity work that Dave does and the POA. So Dave, the best to you and your family, and we will miss you. I will.
Thank you.
Take care. Be safe.
Also, I didn't do the just cause drive. Am I supposed to do that? I'm sorry.
No, there's no trustees
Great.
needing to.
I don't stay in the agenda. Thank you. Trustee Santos, you want to just go down the room? Anybody else?
Yeah, sure. I'll just say a few words, Dave.
Also, just a reminder to speak into the mic, please.
Yeah, exactly.
We're short of mics.
Okay, sure. Just say a few words, keep it short. Yeah, it's been an honor working with you. I think, when I came on board 2.5 years ago, I know how long it's been because I was in city council saying I've been on this board for 2.5 years, so I know it's 2.5 years. I thought there were, okay, it's a little sort of a joke, so don't take it so seriously.
I know.
I was thinking that there's good cops and bad cops, and one look at you and I thought you were a bad cop, but after 2.5 years, I realized you are the good cop, so I will miss you tremendously, Dave. So take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I got it.
So it's been a pleasure to work with you. I think you're a very thoughtful trustee, and I think you've had a lot of great ideas, suggestions. You're not been on the board that long, I think. Maybe it requires Franco to step away before you come back. But we're gonna miss those meetings with both of you together. Frank is working on
From Palm Desert, from Palm Desert, that's right, when we zoom in.
Yeah, so it's been great. I mean,
Thank you.
Dave, I just want to say, I want to echo what Sunita said. The word pragmatic comes to mind. And the fact that I actually learned about investigations a little bit from you. You have a really good inquisitive mind, and you're really practical because you always bring the conversation back to what's relevant quickly and efficiently. So I'm really gonna miss that.
I'll just say I haven't known Trustee Wilson for very long. But I remember our first real interaction was at Roberto's retirement party. And coming from New York City Police, where I had a very strong surrounding by uniformed members, I felt really at home with our conversation and some of the direct advice that you provided me that day. And so I really appreciate it, and I hope I can live up to those expectations you were setting. So thank you.
Absolutely.
One member retiring, one member coming on, so.
Yeah.
I won't take it personally.
I'm just gonna read out our formal commendation. Whereas Dave Wilson was the employee member to the Board of Administration of the City of San Jose Police and Fire Retirement Plan in February 2021 as the police employee representative, and whereas in appreciation of Dave's 3 years of service, he served in the Audit Risk Committee, where he worked on the city auditor's recommendations, and whereas Dave served on the Disability Committee, and whereas Dave has offered stability and a progressive view and valuable insight into the active membership concerns. Now thereof to be it resolved by the Board of Administration, Police and Fire Department Retirement Plan of the City of San Jose, that the Board of Administration extends its thanks to Dave Wilson for his dedicated years of service to the Police and Fire Department Retirement Plan and for his adherence to high standards of quality for this board and for his performance of valued service. Presented this 5th day of December by Flicker, well, we need a vote. It says ayes here, yeah. Flicker, Gardner, Kwan, Lee, Menon, Santos, and Vado in absence. You know, you want to, when we give it to him,
Could we,
the plan number.
give us a second to take a photo here?
All right.
Why don't you guys stand this way for the better view? The black box. That's pretty good.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, congratulations on the second for yourself.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Right. There are no orders of the day. We, holding this meeting as a hybrid meeting, but I don't think anybody's online. I mean, any of the trustees. But please do speak clearly into the mic and mute yourself if you're not speaking. Please raise your hand and staff will alert the chair if you wish to speak, if you're online. There's nothing to waive, no orders of the day and nothing to waive sunshine on. And the first agenda item is closed session. We'll move into closed session.
Item one.
Recording in progress.
Apologies. Thank you, Chair Ganapathy. For closed session one A, there was a reportable action. The board voted unanimously to seek amicus status and to authorize legal counsel to draft an amicus brief for the board in the Lacer versus County of Los Angeles case pending before the California Supreme Court. And on closed session one B, there was no reportable action. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe at this time I will seek any public comment on items that are not included in the agenda that might be up for discussion. Hearing none, let's go on to the consent calendar. Is there any item on the consent calendar that any board member would like to pull?
Motion to approve.
We have it sounds like there's no item to be pulled and any comments, nothing. So we have a motion from trustee Santos. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Wilson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. We're on. So we're on to investment.
Did we do two?
Oh, no, sorry, can be chief. We have a change in status to service-connected disability. José Vargas, police officer, police department, police development, request for change of status. Effective January 23rd, 2021. Request for change of status to service-connected disability retirement. 26.18 years of service with reciprocity. It's just for information.
No, this is for.
We have a motion to approve.
Actually, the
Sorry.
recommendation from the disability committee was to deny the change of status. Mr. Vargas's injury occurred after he had retired, not before. So it was the decision of the disability committee to deny, and that is our recommendation to the board.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve.
Motion to deny the change of status.
Second.
Yes, motion to deny the change of status by trustee Wilson and second by trustee Santos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, on to investments. We have CIO Parani here and Dave from him.
Good morning, trustees, Madam Chairman. We've had some logistical challenges, so Laura's flight was delayed. But she is now at the airport and should be here in about, I'm hoping 10 to 15 minutes. She has landed.
You
And I
want to change
also,
the order?
we could, that's what I'm alluding to, getting to, so maybe we can,
Should we do?
we do have Casey online, but we don't have Dinesh either. And Dinesh is also on his way, should be here momentarily. So I'm wondering whether we should move to John's items
You want to go to new business and then we can come back?
and then come back.
Yeah, so why don't we do 5 A, B, C, D, and then come back to investments and then do 5 E, F, and G at the end.
Sounds good.
Oh,
Do I need a motion?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna switch to 5 A in light of Laura's flight. So we will go to CEO. Don.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you. So office update, ORS continuing to recruit for senior office specialist position. We hope to fill it by January 2025. Recruitment for our senior accountant is in its final stages. ORS has completed the review of the ORS procurement policy and will deliver a revised policy to the governance committee later this month based on ORS and finance's collaborations. The changes were fairly minimal to better align the policy with existing city definitions. The policy expected to be on the agenda for both boards in January. ORS has started to prepare numerous RFPs. Legal Services Joint Ad Hoc Committee met this past Monday, 12/2, and have another meeting scheduled for Tuesday, 12/10, to tentatively finalize the RFP scope. Actuarial Services RFP, the Joint Ad Hoc Committee, we were tentatively scheduling the kickoff meeting for 12/9, and we will move that RFP forward as well. And then lastly, our Governance Services Committee, which is an internal process, is underway, and we hope to have the RFP finalized and published before the holiday closure. San Jose the city of San Jose has kicked off its initiative to replace physical phones and hardware with Zoom phones citywide. City Central IT and their vendor TCS have tentatively scheduled a December 16th date to perform the cutover for ORS. We're working with Central IT to ensure there are no operational impacts and the staff is appropriately trained for operations on the new system. In accordance with the MOU with the city, I'm working with Bill Gold to coordinate the annual board training to be delivered by the city attorney's office. Bill will work with the city attorney's office to prepare the training to be delivered after all of our known board member transitions are completed in late spring. So Trustee Jennings is retiring, and we hope to have a replacement for her in early spring. Once that replacement is seated, then we'll coordinate with Bill to have both boards complete this training. The ORS office will be closed during the city of San Jose holiday closure, which is December 23rd through January 1st. We have minimal staff working to escalate any urgent issues that may arise. We will meet with members by limited special appointment, ideally scheduled in advance. Transition update. I have completed about 75% of my one-on-ones with all of the staff, and expect to have the remaining completed before year end. Trustee Garnier is not here today, but in his place, I'll let you know that we had our final transition meeting with Trustee Garnier and Trustee Linder for the joint transition committee. I want to thank Trustee Garnier and Trustee Linder for their guidance and wisdom as I transition into my role as CEO here at ORS. And then lastly, I know I had sent out a communication to most of you, but just a reminder of season of gratitude. I have much to be grateful for this year. Support and understanding of my family to be at the top of the list for sure, and all of my friends, my colleagues in New York, who have accepted my decision to leave and really supported and encouraged me as I made this transition to San Jose. And my new family here at ORS, supportive staff of their new CEO who likes to ask tons of questions apparently. But more importantly, I'm humbled by their clear dedication to our mission of service to our membership. Supportive board members, of course, that dedicate their time and energy to help drive our organization in support of all of our members. And then lastly, how I've been accepted into the city of San Jose, whether it's our city council liaison, city staff generally, and the city's leadership team specifically. They've all been willing to make time to meet with me and answer all of my questions as well. So I'm really grateful to be here, and I thank you for the opportunity that you've given me this year. That's all.
Thank you, John, for the comprehensive update. It feels like you've been here forever transitioning.
You know, they call dog years, right? So this is ORS years, is that?
You hit the ground running. Thank you. Any questions for John? Pam? Love to hear from you.
Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. Just a couple of things. One is a real important update on the replacement or finding a replacement for the District 3 council vacancy. A couple of weeks ago, the council did vote to conduct a special election, which will be held in two parts. It will be a primary session and then a general election afterwards if one candidate does not get 50% plus one in the primary. So the cost goes up as you have a general election, but that's the way it has to be. The filing period is through December 15th through January 10th for the special election. At the same time, there will be a filing period for the appointment of an interim council member. So there's likely to be a 6-month vacancy between the time of the posting of the election, the conducting of election, and the certification. So we need someone to fill that slot. So the council has put a process in place where we will accept applications and then interview candidates who are interested in that position on December or January 28th is when we'll be interviewing the candidates and then certifying and swearing in whoever that is on February 1st. Likely to be a 6-month appointment considering how long it takes to hold an election, even in the shortest time. Probably certify the election, the results of the special election at the end of July. That means effectively February 1 to August 1st is how long the interim council member will be in place. They will have all functioning roles as a current sitting council member in that they will vote at the council meetings. They'll have a budget that they'll have to oversee and staffing. So really, this is a caretaker position, so we already have a list of people who have expressed their interest, and we'll see who it gets narrowed down to. We did vote that the approval or the selection of that person needs to be a 2/3 vote. So with a 10-member council, that's 7 votes that we'll have to get in order to seat someone. So as opposed to a majority. So I'm really excited that we have that process, and I'm very excited that the council voted to conduct a special election. I know there were some budgetary concerns, but to me, the representative of District 3 should not be an appointment. It should be elected by the residents of District 3. I think that's really critical. I want to welcome Gretchen. Welcome aboard, and I want to welcome back David. Welcome back. And I know we have on the consent coming in, I think in 2 parts. Your replacement, Dave, coming in, I think this week, or no, Franco's coming in at this council meeting, and I think the following meeting is your replacement. And those are consent that, unlike the public appointments where we interview, we don't interview, it just comes through the consent, and there's usually, unless a council member wants to pull it, that's highly unlikely, and I would be the council member who would pull it, and I'm not likely to pull it. That's a name that you put forth, and we don't, we respect the process that you go through. I do want to thank John for his one-on-ones. We've met for lunch, and we met twice to go over the agenda, and I find that really, really useful and really helps me know what I need to know about the agenda coming up, and really brings it to a point that's easily managed for me. You should be aware that council is on, the city hall is on furlough between Christmas and New Year's. Actually between the 23rd and January 1st. But the 18th floor is closed as we bring in 3 new city council members, and they have painting done, and old council members are moved out and new council members come in. It's a lot of activity, so they've asked us to work from home from the 18th on. So that's pretty much an active time for us as far as social activities. We have 2 retiring council members after 8 years, and Sergio Jimenez and Deb Davis, who sits on the Federated Board. As far as council appointments next year for this board and the Federated Board, I have asked the mayor to reappoint me to this board. And there is a vacancy, obviously, because Councilmember Davis is termed out. And who he appoints, or if he moves us around, I don't know, but I assume he'll keep me on because I'm the veteran who's been involved in retirement board issues. With that, I bid you a wonderful holiday, and I look forward to the meeting, and if you have any questions.
Thank you, Councilor Foley. Any questions? Thank you for the update, appreciate it. Okay, we will move on to 5C, invite the who else is here? Team. I guess we're gonna start with the open preliminary and then go to the vote on. Yes.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Uh, so, good morning trustees. Bill Hallmark, I'm here with Jackie King to present the preliminary actuarial valuation results for the OPEB plan. So we'll cover a few things about the results. These are not the final results. We will come back at February, actually, to present the final results. Where we skipped the January, first week of January. Just as a reminder, like with the pension plan, this valuation develops the city's contributions for fiscal year end 2026. Under the OPEB plan, the member contributions are fixed, so it does not affect the member contributions. The other piece that's unique for the OPEB plans is the assets are actually in two different funds. There's a small piece of assets that's in what's called the 401(h) account within the pension trust. And so that amount of assets is invested alongside the pension assets. The majority of the assets are held in a 115 trust that has a separate investment policy. And that's what we use to set the discount rate. And so the liabilities are shown here. The other thing that's different is in the pension, we combine police and fire. But in the OPEB, the 115 trusts are separated pension for police and fire. And so throughout this presentation, we're going to show you separate results for police and fire. And here we're showing the actuarial liability as the bars, the in-pay group in the dark blue. And there's a very few number of people who are no longer working for the city, but entitled to future benefits. So that hardly shows at all. And then the red bar is the active group. Now, on the OPEB plan, I mentioned this at the last meeting, but the plan for full benefits is closed. And so it's only the tier 1 members who did not elect to join the VIVA who are eligible for the full benefits. Everyone else is eligible for a catastrophic disability benefit, but that's a very small benefit ongoing. So the bulk of the benefit is closed. So you can see here that the in-pay group for the police is the liability is now about 400 million. So it's about 80% of the total liability of the plan is for people currently receiving benefits. And on the fire, it's slightly less. It's about 2/3 of the liability is for people receiving benefits. The assets, these plans started their whole funding process much later than the pension plan. So they've been at a very low funded level, but it's been increasing. That is continuing, and we're above 40% funded this year for the first time on these plans for the explicit sense. This table gives you the detailed numbers behind that chart. You can see that the police department plan is now 43.6% funded. It was about 39% the prior year. The fire department plans increased from 36 to 42%. The other thing to keep in mind here is even though the funding levels are much lower, the unfunded liability is relatively small compared to the pension plan. The scale of this plan is much smaller than the pension plan. So even when it was poorly funded, we were less concerned about this plan than the pension plan because of the size of the other plan. Going to the next slide, the contributions, we show the member contributions and cities contributions. The purple bars are going down, member contributions. That's because it's just those tier one members who are contributing. And so as they retire, we are collecting fewer contributions. There's no change in their rate. It's the same rate. It's just the decline in the population. And then the city's contribution is going up slightly from 18.5 to 19.4 for police, 12.3 to 12.6 for fire. That's actually a smaller increase than we had projected last year. So we'll get into a little bit of what's driving. Before we do that, just wanted to touch the trends in the membership and emphasize kind of the points I've been making. Here we're showing the members who are eligible for full benefits from 2016 to 2024. And you see that a significant drop after 2016. That's when the election to join the VIVA was held. And so that drop represents the members electing to join the VIVA instead of remaining full active members of this plan. But you can see the trend is for the covered group to decline. Then we have just a few members who are entitled to deferred vested benefits. They have to have 20 years of service to be entitled to a future benefit, unlike the pension plan where it's just 5 years. And so much fewer are eligible for that. Then if you look at the pre-Medicare population, so these are retirees receiving benefits who have not reached age 65 and become eligible for Medicare yet. That population is staying relatively level, and eventually we'll see that population start to decline as this plan goes forward. But right now it's remaining relatively level. And then if we add in the Medicare eligible population, you can see that it's been growing slightly. Now, a number of members elect only dental, or there's this in lieu option. So in lieu of taking the medical benefits, you can get a credit to an account equal to 25% of what the subsidy would have been for you. And so that was a new provision that was added a few years ago, and we're seeing growth in the number of people electing that. We really don't have much experience with people claiming those credits yet. That will come, and we'll get some experience and see how much of that happens. We are in our evaluation, we are assuming that everybody does eventually claim the credit, but we'll see going forward if that works. So when you put all that together, you can get a picture of the population, and then the growing piece is the new members who are eligible for that catastrophic disability benefit, which again is a much smaller liability.
And just to get into some of the preliminary results that we have. These first two graphs show us the change in the unfunded liability, specifically for police and fire. So the blue bar on the left of each chart, last year's unfunded, the blue bar on the right, this year's. And then the colored bars in between indicate how it decreased. So there were minimal decreases, minimal gains from the contributions. For investment gains, you had about 8 million on the fee side, about 5 million on fire. Then you have your liability gains. So this comes with, the demographics of the plan and how it differs from what the current assumptions that we have. So, as well as in that bucket, you have the change in the premiums. So compared to what was expected from last year. Both sides, you saw a gain, those two. And then as far as assumptions, there were small gains. That comes from the change in the trend assumptions that we have for the premiums and the claims going forward. And also a couple of the tier coverages, we're assuming what coverage the participants are going to elect when they retire. So, so on both sides, you saw a decrease in your unfunded liability. Just to reiterate, the scale compared to the pension plan in total, the unfunded liability for this plan is less than half of the pension plan right now. It's $1. So just jump into some of those changes in the UAL and unfunded liability. We have the different buckets, the investment liabilities, assumptions, benefit changes. So this is over the last 5 years, what's been happening. So you can see, a big chunk of that is your liability gains and losses, gain demographics, and premiums different from expected, with your gray bars. You can see in, it's 4 out of the last 5 years, you did have a gain for those, meaning that we go down the unfunded liability. We look at the investment gains, those are a little more, they oscillate a little bit more. You see in some years you have gains, some years you have losses. And as far as the assumption changes, you did have a gain this year, but in the previous 4 years, there was a loss as far as those go. So if we look at it in total, for all the years combined over the last 5, 7 years. You can see the biggest chunk of that change in your unfunded liability. So just remember, any number above, it's increase, anything above 0 that's increasing your unfunded liability is considered a loss. Biggest chunk of that is change in assumptions in the last 5 years. The biggest gain you've had in the last 5 years is your liability changes. And that's as far as the premiums go and the demographic experience of the plan. The next graph we have here is just a breakdown of the actuarial liabilities. So this is combined police and the fire. You can see that there's a lot of different pie pieces in here. But one thing to point out is currently 74% of the liability is for people that are currently in pay status, so that are currently retired and receiving the benefit. That accounts for obviously about 3/4 of the liability. About 2/3 of the liability are for medical benefits, people that are currently eligible for Medicare, so 65 or older. So you can see how big of a chunk it is for the liability, that liability is for that older population and for the current retirees. And as Bill mentioned, because the plan is currently closed entrance, you're going to see those pie pieces grow for the next few years. This just is a summary of the contributions for each plan for the versus the police and fire. As you can see, the member contributions they're decreasing over time as expected. As far as your city's explicit subsidy, the city explicit subsidy contribution, that increased about 1.3 million. Just in comparison to the pension fund, the total city contribution for these two combined is about 32 million. That's compared to, I think, about over 200 million for the pension plan. So just remember the scale of the two plans versus each other. Another thing this plan has is the city has the option to cap the contributions. But right now, the current contributions are expected to be less than that cap. So. That's it. Questions?
Can I just ask on page 4, we looked at the annual kind of changes in unfunded liability, but how did we end up with such a big hole in terms of where we are?
Because originally it wasn't funded.
Funded, okay.
So, we've been. I can't remember when they started. They started with some just almost like nominal
Yeah.
amounts going in. And it's only really been since, 2017 that we've been calculating an actuarially determined contribution. Prior to that, it was just collectively hard.
Thank you.
Good question. Any other question? Move on to 5G,
We should,
just discussion.
Yeah, so we can, switch partners here and switch, presentations, just.
Thank you for the. Info.
Okay, so these are the final pension valuation results, and I have with me Ann Harper to present those results. There were two attachments to this agenda item. There's the full report for those of you who really want to get into the details and go through everything. And we are not planning to touch it today, but we will take any questions that you have on specifics in the report. And then the other piece was the presentation, which was what we plan to go through. Just a reminder of our calendar. I mentioned this in a prior presentation, but today we have the preliminary OPEB valuation results. These are the final pension valuation results. You'll get a break from us in January. You've had us for several meetings, but then we'll be back in February to wrap up things with the OPEB valuation. I'm gonna turn it to Ann to get us started.
Good morning, everyone. So we're here, like Bill said, to present the final valuation results for the pension plan. Not much change since we were here last month when we presented the preliminary results. There were just a few tweaks on the liability side, very, very minimal. So first we're gonna get started and look at plan's funded status, which is a measure of the assets compared to the liabilities. And here right now, we're looking at the liabilities from the 2023 valuation and the 2024 valuation with the blue, red, and gold bars. You can see the actuarial liability was just under $6 billion in the last valuation. It was just over $6 billion in this valuation. And you can see that the bulk of your actuarial accrued liability is those members who are in pay status. They're close to, I believe, 70% of your actuarial liability. So when you look at it on a tier by tier basis, this is the tier 1 we're looking at. It didn't look much different than the total plan because most of the liability is from your tier 1 members. And then when you look at the tier 2 membership, this is now a different scale. We're looking at this and you can see that it's only about 175 million for the tier 2 members versus the $6 billion that's the plan in total. And what's really striking here is that majority of the liability is from your active members in the tier 2, which is not unusual, right? It's the tier 2 came into existence back in 2013. So in fact, almost all of your liability is from your actives. Now, if you look at
the funded, the actual liability compared to the market value of assets. And the market value of assets increased from last year to this year because you had a 9.2% return on those assets. And then we also calculate the actuarial value of assets, which are your smooth assets. And you can see they're very, very close to each other. However, the market value of assets this year is just slightly higher than your actuarial value, which means you have some deferred gains from previous years that you will be recognizing over the course of the next 4 years. Your funded status increased from last year to this year. Last year it was 80%, both the market and actuarial value basis. And this year, your market value of assets funded ratio was 83% versus 82 with the smooth assets. So this slide shows you how you literally stack up compared to the rest of the public sector systems in the country. On the left-hand side, we're showing market value funded ratios of national plans, over 200 systems nationwide. And on the right-hand side, we kind of isolated just the California systems. On the left-hand side, the gold diamonds represent San Jose Police and Fire. We have also shown a combined funded ratio if your plan was combined with the federated plan, and that's the black triangles. And you can see that the black triangles are lower than your just isolated police and fire because the federated plan is not as well funded as your pension system is. What to note on the left-hand side here, when looking at your system nationally, compared to other systems, is that you are pretty much mostly right at the median. And the median is where the green bars kind of meet the blue bars. Pretty much at the median in terms of your funded ratio over the course of this time period. However, in the last 3 years, you actually are in that higher percentile, 50th to 75th percentile in the blue darkened area. And it's important to note here too, that all of these calculations on the funded ratio are based on the market value of assets. So that's why you're seeing some volatility in how those bars move. But also what's important is that we have not normalized the discount rates, meaning the discount rates are specific to whatever the plan's actuarial assumption is on that investment return. So the median investment return assumption nationally is around 7%. So your system rate is at 6.625. So you have a more conservative discount rate. So if it was normalized, all of those move up into the percentiles because you have a lower discount rate, which means slightly higher liabilities in comparison. So moving on to looking at comparison to California systems, you don't stack up quite as well because the systems in California are better funded than they are nationally. So you're mostly at the median, but sometimes just a bit below the median in comparison to your funded ratio and your peers here in the state. However, in 2023, you are right at the median with your peers here in California. And again, in comparison, the discount rate, median discount rate in California is 6.75%. So you are still just slightly lower than that median assumed rate of return. So now we're moving on to looking at the calculated contribution rates for this June 30th, 2024 evaluation. So on the left-hand side, we're showing contribution rates, and then on the right-hand side, the graphs are showing the dollar amounts. So what we're showing here is the member contribution rates and the city's normal cost. So the total of the member rate and the city normal cost is the total normal cost for your plan. And then what the normal cost is, it's simply the cost of active members' benefits that are occurring in that year. So basically the cost of the service that the members are earning for that 1 year in time. And the total cost last year was 34.7%, and it came down slightly to 34.1%. And that is purely a difference in the weighting between the tier 1 and tier 2. There are more tier 1 members tier 2 members every year they have a lower normal cost, so the weighted average of that is coming down as you get more and more tier two members replace your tier one members. And you can see the split here between the member and the city. The city pays 8/11 of the normal cost for tier one, and the members pay 3/11 of that normal cost. I got ahead of myself talking. So this is the tier one showing that 3/11, 8/11 split. The normal cost rate for tier one is higher, about 42%. Because their benefits are slightly higher than the tier two. And again, there's that split where most of that normal cost rate is paid by the city. Comparing it to tier two, the normal cost rate is 28%. And for tier two, there's a 50-50 allocation split between that. So the members pay half, the city pays half, and that's what's in your statute.
And I may just add that the graphs that we are looking at on our screen, you're actually dynamically showing that. So most people who can't see the screen, they want to follow your numbers.
So what was that?
Oh, I was gonna say that if you want to dynamically follow your numbers, then you should look at the TV screen.
Right,
This
as
is-
opposed
oh,
to the
yeah.
PDF that you received.
I just wanna-
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Not everybody's looking at it.
okay. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to show just the city's contribution rates. Both as dollars and as a percentage of payroll. So again, focusing on the contribution rates on the left-hand side. You can see that that normal cost is just a portion of the total contribution rate. It's just a very small portion, about a third of the total contribution rate. The rest, our biggest portion is the UAL payment. The unfunded accrued liability and how you are paying that off over time. Plus, there's a very small sliver for the city's administrative expenses. So as a percentage of payroll, that UAL payment decreased as a percentage of payroll from about 53% to about 52%. And that primarily was due to the fact that your payroll growth from last year to this year was about 5% of pay. Because when you look at it on a dollar amount, your UAL payments were about $148 million last year and about $153 million this year. So the payments themselves actually increased, and they're designed and they're calculated to increase with inflation, 2.5% inflation each and every year until it's fully paid off. But like I said, your payroll growth increased by 5%. Your UAL payments only increased by 2.5%. So that's why you're seeing the fact that your contribution dollars are actually going up slightly, but your rate is coming down over time. So the rate came down from 77.5% to 76.3%, while the actual dollar contributions went from 217 million to 224 million. Now, again, looking at tier one, let's just do tier two. On tier two, the contribution rate is 14%. And sorry about that. I stopped the screen sharing. I think I stopped the presentation. Sorry about that.
We need Chris on.
Okay, okay, so sorry about that technical difficulty. So moving on now, we talked about the snapshot in time of the valuation date and what the contribution rates look like and what the funded status looks like. But now we're going to look at projections going forward and a little of the history of the last 5 years. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the historical and projected assets and liabilities. You have the liabilities, which are the bars, and the assets are the lines, and we have on there both the actuarial value of assets and the market value of assets. The market value is the green line. And with the liabilities, we also have them shaded as tier 1 and tier 2, and you can see that the actual liability for tier 1 continues to grow over the next few years, but then kind of levels off and starts to decline as, again, more and more liability shifts towards the tier 2 actives, and more tier 2 active members are hired to replace those tier 1 members. To note here on the funded status, and this is on a market value basis, is that your funded status was 72% in 2019, and it's now 83%. So in 5 years, your plan has increased its funded status by over 10%, which is really great funded status improvement. And you can see on the right-hand side that this is showing the projected unfunded accrued liability. You can see that unfunded accrued liability has been volatile on a market value basis, and that's mainly due to the asset fluctuation from 2020. And then in 2021, you got a 27% return, and then in 2022, you had a loss on your assets. So you can see how greatly your unfunded fluctuated in those 3 years. But what's key is that unfunded is continuing to be projected to decline over time over the next 15 years. The line on the right-hand side represents our projection from the last valuation, the 2023 valuation. And if you look at 2024, you can see that the unfunded liability is about $1 million, and we had projected it to be slightly higher than that, and that difference is mainly due to the asset return of 9.2%. So now moving on to before we the contribution rate projections. Before we talk about the contribution rate projections, so I wanted to outline an illustration of the current tier 1 amortization layers. This is really the biggest piece of your employer contribution rate, and it shows all the different amortization layers that you currently have in your plan. There are different UAL payments because of gains and losses that occur each and every year when we do evaluation, and also for assumption changes. The assumption changes are shown in purple and the gains and losses are shown in yellow. There is one slight plan change in green, but it's very, very small. And then that total UAL payment is that line. And you can see in 2026 and 2027, the fiscal year ending, that you have over 20 or 30 layers, right? And this goes all the way back to 2005. And each and every one of those rectangles represents an individual gain or loss that happened from the past 2025 and 2005. And so then you can see that the layers in 2026 and 2027, these 2 layers at the top and these 2 layers down here at the bottom have been fully paid. And so then you can see in 2028 that those they kind of offset each other. So there's not much of a difference in that total UAL payment. But then when you get out here into 5 or 6 years out, a lot of those past layers start falling off because they're fully amortized or fully paid for. So your total UAL payment is projected to decrease over time, almost to 0. And then it has a slight blip here at the end because these gain layers out here, 2038 are, and then so you have a slight blip, the UAL payment will go up. So,
Can you remind us, the amortization window is how many?
so for assumptions, it's 20 years. So if there's an assumption change, let's say next year, that will be paid off over the course of 20 years. And then, gains and losses are paid off over 15 years. 15, yes. And so this graph does not show any of deferred gains and losses on asset smoothing. It's just currently, as of this valuation, this is your amortization schedule. But the contributions, when we do these projections, we do factor in future deferred gains and losses that will be recognized, and that's what you're seeing here on the left-hand side. When your contribution rate currently at 76% will slowly come down over the next 4 or 5 years due to those assets that are being recognized, those asset gains. And then as those amortizations continue to be paid off over time, you see that dramatic decline over the next 15 years. And just like the funded ratio, your contribution rate has improved over time. Improved meaning come down from 85% down to 76%. So a huge, relatively large decrease in your employer contribution rate over the past 5 years. But then moving on to the projected contributions when you're looking at them as a dollar amount. 2020, $224 million for this valuation, and you can see it's going to slightly grow over the next 4 or 5 years, and that's because your UAL payments are growing at 2.5%, and your normal costs will grow as payroll grows. But then it will come down dramatically again as those UAL payments are paid off over the next 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty far away for Santa Cruz we need her. San Jose.
Strange. Must have been a earthquake. I'm not even sure how to see. There's no storm right.
Being on the fifth floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't turn them off. It's a tsunami warning. I think we're okay.
Okay,
Just to make your presentation a little bit more exciting.
I know, it's a technical glitch, then a tsunami warning. So to end this then, again, your tier 1 UAL amortization payments are really what's driving your contribution rates right now, and will be so in the next 5 to 10 years. Do you have any questions? I'm gonna hand it over to Bill.
Great presentation as well. Thank you.
So, we'll get into some of the dynamics here, but that, projected decline, it is real. We know you'll have experience that may be gains or losses, but that gets stacked on top of that decline. And so even if and we're gonna go through some scenarios, but even if you have poor experience, the underlying base has that, decline going forward that will provide solution. Every year with this plan, we spend some time talking about the maturity of your plan. And the key thing about mature pension plans, you think of a mature person as being someone who's very stable and can handle adversity and keeps it even keel. A mature pension plan is the opposite of that. When they are mature, they're very sensitive to any sort of changes that happen, both positive and negative. So it goes both ways. And so we want to talk about this dynamic a little bit. And part of it is part of getting a hold of it is just understanding the membership counts. And then we'll get into some of the more specific financial measures. But for you, your tier 1 active membership is declining. And then if we add the tier 2 actives on, you can see we had prior to the Great Recession, the active membership was around 2,000. We have not gotten back up to that level. And in fact, the last couple of years, we've seen a decline in the total membership. What we have not seen a decline in, expect to, is the retirees. And so those groups have grown during that period. And so if you can think of the active membership as kind of representing the base, the financial base for the plan. And the inactive members are no longer part of the city. And so any gains or losses on their benefits, on the assets set aside for their benefits, have to be borne by the people who are still here. And so the more that relationship changes, the more sensitive your plan is going to be to changes. And so we calculate that as that support ratio as simply the inactive members provided by the active members. And you can see over this period, it's natural for a pension plan to have this number grow up to a certain point. And then often it will stabilize. And we saw it stabilize sort of between 2015 and 2022. That number was relatively stable. But it's ticked up again now. It really ticked up during the Great Recession. And so that's the first indicator that we're looking at in terms of the maturity of the plan. And this ratio, we don't have the national comparisons on this ratio in this presentation, but you would be high if we compared you to other plans nationally. What we do compare nationally are two other measures. The asset leverage ratio, which is simply the market value of assets divided by the payroll.
Actually, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Is the 1.9 include tier 2 in the denominator? Or?
Yes.
Thanks.
So the asset leverage ratio is the assets divided by payroll, and the liability leverage ratio is the actuarial liability divided by payroll. And conceptually here, we're using payroll as kind of a proxy of the revenue that might be available to the plan. We set contributions as a percent of payroll. And so that is kind of the funding base. And so that ratio becomes significant. And the assets divided by payroll really gets at how sensitive are you to short-term fluctuations in investment returns. And so let me just walk through a quick example. Let's say we had a 10% loss compared to our assumption. So our assumption's 6 5/8, so it's negative 3 3/8 is your actual return. That's a 10% loss. If your asset leverage ratio is 5, that 10% loss amounts to 50% of your payroll. And we're gonna set up amortizations as part of your contribution rate to pay off that 50% of payroll. And we can set them as, 15-year amortizations, you can set them as 20, 30, whatever. But you're gonna have to pay off that loss of 50% of payroll. But what if you have that same investment loss and your ratio, asset leverage ratio is 10? Now, instead of 50% of payroll, that loss is 100% of payroll. And if we're amortizing it over the same period, we're gonna have to set a contribution rate that's twice as high as if that ratio was only 5 to pay for that loss. And so that's why we say you're sensitive, and mature plans are sensitive. They have these higher ratios. And it's sensitive in that when we translate it back to your contribution rate, it has a bigger impact. It's the same investment loss. It's the same 10% investment loss, but it can have twice the impact on your contribution rate. And so if you look here, these are all national comparisons. And the range of the bars shows the range of the ratios for 90% of the plans in the public plans database. And the gold diamonds are the ratio for the police and fire plan, and the black triangles are the ratio combining police and fire with federated. So in one sense, police and fire plans typically have a higher ratio. And so it makes sense to think about it on a citywide basis as well. Because a lot of the plans we're comparing to have police and fire combined and just averaging them all. But on either way we look at it, San Jose is very high. And the police and fire plan is like, by itself, is like off the chart. And so you are extremely sensitive to those investment returns, whether up or down. You know, it has the same, it has a terrific impact if you have great investment returns, right? The liability leverage ratio it captures your sensitivity in two different ways. One, you can think about, we're trying to be 100% funded. If we're 100% funded, the asset leverage ratio would be the same as the liability leverage ratio. So that's where we're headed. In the meantime, if we make an assumption change, like reducing the discount rate, this captures how sensitive we are to that type of change as well. And so it's been much more painful for us to reduce the discount rate than your typical plan because of this maturity dynamic. It's had a bigger impact on your contribution rates. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean we think you should suddenly completely invest in fixed income or something like that. But just understanding that dynamic is gonna make your plan more volatile in terms of those contribution rates and how we manage that volatility.
Well, it's extremely well done. Thank you. It really builds an intuition over this. And I was gonna say that between this and the next chart, I know I sort of abstained from voting on the discount rate. If I'd had this information, I know you've presented it before, it would have been much clearer. So I would have, I totally understand where you're coming from.
We took your comment, we talked about it. We will have this chart in the economic presentation next year.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Sunita, I've seen this probably twice since at least I can remember. And every single time I see it again, it makes a bigger and bigger impact. Maybe the question is, from your point of view, what recommendation would you have to the board as to what we can do to help mitigate this risk? I think this risk is always gonna be there. I don't think that there's gonna be much that we can do, and we're just gonna have to burden this risk going forward, especially as it relates to our investment portfolios. But maybe we're missing something. Love to hear your thoughts.
Well, it's a very complex question, right? What should we do about it? This is not, you're not in this situation because of something you did. This is a characteristic of the plan. And so it's not that good, whatever. It's just a characteristic of the plan. And so then you're challenged with managing it. And so there are a variety of policies for managing it. The major ones from the actuarial side would be the asset smoothing and the amortization periods to help control the volatility. But it's a balance because there's downsides to over controlling the volatility. And then on the investment side, you can also take steps to control the volatility. But there's costs to doing that as well. And so it's just when you're when we're evaluating these policies and trying to find that right balance for you in particular, to keep this in mind. And there is no like single right answer to this. It really is a judgment for the board in how you balance those things. And so we can't say this means you should do X because that may not hold. But what we need to do is just keep this in mind, and when we're revisiting those policies, look at that dynamic and decide which approach is most appropriate.
You need to just hire more cops and firefighters and you have more actives.
That's your plan.
Right.
I was gonna mention that. Go in the opposite direction.
Bill, I had a question.
Make it
So-
less mature.
So we're dealing with risk and managing risk, right? I understand there's no right and wrong answer, but with respect to some of your clients or peers, what have you seen them do, given that we have this maturity and that, you know, our asset leverage ratio, you know, everything else is way high? I mean, what have you seen with other plans and how they've approached managing risk?
I think there's a lot of struggle. In particular, you know, my personal view is the environment has changed now, but we've come through a period where we had declining interest rates and a lot of pressure on getting investment returns. And every time we lowered that discount rate assumption, it was extremely painful. And so if you look, I don't have it in this presentation, but I've done this many times before. You look at nationally, all the plans have done something like this. They didn't come down maybe as much as we did, but they have come down with their expectations. And simultaneously, the investment allocations have changed and got more aggressive so that they didn't have to bring those discount rates down even further. Right? If you go back in time, public pension plans had pretty conservative investment allocations compared to what they have today. Now, they've added a lot more diversification benefits as well. So it's a complex analysis of what happened, but there was a mix, and actually on the investment side, they tended to get more aggressive and then try and adjust for some of it in terms of asset smoothing. We have thought about recommending a 7-year asset smoothing instead of 5-year. That's become much more common. And so I think that's one way systems have been managing that. But there are, as I've said, there are positives and negatives to that. So we haven't brought that forward to this board, but it's certainly something, if we get to a situation where we're dealing with too much volatility, we may want to bring that.
All right, thank you.
I
Yeah.
think if you asked Dinesh, he would say, give it all to private credit, you get
Right.
your discount rate and guarantee all your money back, right?
I think one thing that boards have done with their assumed rate of return just in the last year or two is not to increase their assumed rate of return when capital market assumptions had shown that your expected rates of return were higher than what you're using in your valuation. And a lot of I don't know any system that actually increased their discount rate when that happened. And that does protect you from, so you're gonna hit your target more than 50% of the time versus even I think with you last year, when we came back, or it was this year, when we came to the board with our economic assumption, and your assumed rate of returns were around 7.2% and 7.5 long-term. So keeping your discount rate where it's at, the 6.625 does protect you because you're going to hit that assumed rate of return more like 50 or 60% of the time. So that helps with that asset volatility and the asset leverage ratio.
We hope so.
Mhm.
Right, Yeah,
It may
just
be over 50%, we hope so.
right,
It at least tilts the distribution
exactly,
in the
that
right
is, yeah,
direction.
definitely, yes.
I'm looking at the investment people.
100%.
So, I think we've already made the point about the sensitivity, but these are the numbers behind it. You know, looking at a discount rate change, when we've changed the discount rate, we've done very small pieces at a time. So we would never recommend 100 basis point change, but just to illustrate what would happen to the contribution if we reduce the discount rate by 100 basis points. And you can see that it affects the member rate, it affects the city's normal cost rate, it affects the UAL rate, it affects everything and raises those costs. So the city's contribution would go from 76% to 101% of payroll if we did that. Very substantial increase, and the member contributions would go from 12.7 to 17.1. That's a pretty significant increase to the member contributions as well. So just keeping that in mind, how that dynamic works. The chart on the right is showing a measure that we've called interest cost at risk. And it's looking at how much does the interest on the UAL change if you have a 2 standard deviation investment event. And so what we're showing here is the first bar is fiscal year end 2026 from the valuation. The investment returns this year would not affect those numbers, right? Those are in the book. And so we have to project forward to 2027. And the investment returns this year would affect the 2027 costs. So the baseline projection is the middle bar. We're projecting it to go down to about 75% for the city. Member contributions remain about the same. Now, if you had this 2 standard deviation event, which would be like a minus 20%, so it's a real disaster type event. You can see it does not affect the normal cost at all. The normal cost stays the same. It's not affected by your investment returns. It's all in the amortization. And the place it shows up immediately is that interest on the UAL, which would go from 21% of payroll to 51% of payroll. Now, we smooth the impact on your overall contributions, but that would still have a dramatic impact in the first year on the contributions. It would just eat into that UAL principal piece of the UAL payment. And so the rate would go up to 89%. We're smoothing that in over 5 years. So that rate would continue to climb for the next 4 years, even if we got our assumed rates of return. Hopefully we'd get a bounce back in the market and mitigate some of that. So those are just to give you a feel for that sensitivity on a standing, a point in time basis. But then we wanted to go a little further. We always go a little further in terms of looking at different scenarios for investment returns. And we've created these stress testing scenarios that are not intended to be realistic at all. There's just intended to be illustrations of the sensitivity. And so we look at 1-year shock scenarios and 5-year moderate return scenarios based on the distributions we calculate based on Nikita's returns. And so in the 1-year shock, we're taking the 95th percentile and the 5th percentile returns. In the 5-year moderate, we're taking the 75th percentile over 5 years and the 25th percentile over 5 years. And after the shock, we are just returning to the assumed rate of return. Okay, so it's really just to illustrate how would the system respond to some kind of shock like this. So here again, you'll have to watch the screen, to get the effects. This is our baseline. Oh, forgot to mention. We're showing the city aggregate contribution rates, because those are very sensitive to the investment returns. We are also showing the tier 2 member contribution rates, which are also the tier 2 city contribution rates, because the members share 50% of the UAF. And so people worry about the impact of these investment returns on tier 2 members. And you'll see here, but the short answer on that is that's not a problem today. It will be a problem probably in about 20 years, but it's not going to be a problem right now. So anyway, these are the contribution rates for the baseline. The tier 2 member rates are right at 14%. You can see the city starts at 76 and goes down. The blue lines are here to track that baseline. So the blue lines won't change, the bars will. So if we do that negative 12% return, you can see the city rate goes up to 89%, but it goes up in steps as we recognize that investment loss over 5 years. But then you can see that that baseline reduction in contribution comes into play and helps bring those rates down. That's really being brought down. We're still amortizing that 12% loss, but it's coming down because the baseline pieces are coming down. On the tier 2 member, it doesn't have much impact. It does increase their rate, but only to 15%. Similarly, you get some really good results with the 31% return in 1 year. That would drop the contributions very quickly. Now, there is your system has a minimum contribution rate equal to the normal cost. And so on the tier 2 members, they're not seeing any reduction in their contribution rate because they're fully funded. And so they're paying the normal cost, and that is not changing. And then here, if you see if the negative return plays out over 5 years, so you get a 3.4% return for each of the next 5 years. It doesn't spike up the contributions because you didn't have that big hit. And then as we recognize it, it comes in. There's still that downward trend in rates overall, but it's a much higher contribution rate than our baseline projection. And again, for the tier 2 members, it goes up to about 15%. And not too surprising, the dynamics for a 5-year return of 11.2%. The city's rate drops more quickly than anticipated, but not as quickly as that 1 year positive shock. And the tier 2 rates don't really change. And the funded status of tier 2 does. We're not showing that, but the funded status of tier 2 would go well above 100%.
We have a lot of numbers on the investment section as well, so we last concluding comments.
Yeah, I've got, I'll do these last two very quickly. This is the stochastic projections. So we run 10,000 trials. It shows you the wide range of potential results. And this breaks it out between the tier 1 and tier 2. So you can see tier 2, the volatility starts growing, but it's just very muted to start with. And then the last thing is just looking at the projection of the UAL. And here, the negative numbers are a surplus. And so assuming there's no changes in policy, if we had good returns, we could develop a very substantial surplus. But there's also the chance of developing a fairly substantial UAL. On the right-hand side, we showed the probability in each year of getting above 80% or above 100% funded status. On the positive side, I would note that the 100% is now showing that we're getting within range, and that there is that possibility. I would suggest that sometime over the next couple of years, we have a discussion about how our policies would change if we got to 100%, because we have not really addressed that. That has not been our focus, rightfully so, but something we might want to consider before we get there. So.
Yeah, and this is certainly a very important place to stop, because, I mean, in 21, we got to 90% or so. So it looks like we might be within, David Cole is laughing at me, but, it's not jinx it.
Very volatile.
Yeah.
Very volatile.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
still
reasonable,
not
I think
highly probable that.
this at least puts it in,
Right.
like you said, a reasonable discussion to have in the next nearer term horizon. Any other questions for Bill or Ryan? Great presentation as always. Let's take a vote. Do I have a motion to accept the actuarial valuation presented by motion by trustee Santos and second by trustee Menon. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any public comment? All right, the motion is passed. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to the investment section. Does anybody need a quick break, or shall we just keep going?
Yeah,
I'm-
move.
Yeah, I'm gonna set everybody up and then take a quick break, but, Prabhu.
All right, yeah, I'm ready. Thank you. Thanks for your patience, everyone. We have a full house here, but we have Anita, we have Dinesh. We have Casey, I hope still on Zoom. But before we start Casey's section, as I always do, pro forma performance numbers, as of December 3rd, the pension plan was up 4.26%. And the healthcare plan was up 5.01%. And Dave, if we extrapolate that, you know, where we are, we have another successful year. Yeah, these are unaudited numbers, these are estimates. Okay, with that, I would like to go to 2B, over to Casey and Dinesh.
Great. I will take over and give me just 1 minute to pull up the report. Okay, I think everyone can see it now. Again, thank you for the opportunity to present. We appreciate being able to go through this quarterly and just keep everyone up to date of where we are. Today, we're going to go through Q2 for the private equity portfolio. I'll turn you to page 2, which goes over and highlights the legacy private equity commitments, and then Neuberger and the strategic partnership we have with you all, which started in 2017. You'll see the 2 kind of middle columns highlighting Series 1 and Series 2. These are both Neuberger private equity programs, same type of investments, just simply split out. So we can see performance and other items that kind of go along with reporting private equity returns, but same process as we have always had. When you look at the returns for Q2, they were very similar to Q1. We did not have a lot of movement in valuations. So if you look at series one, which is right in the middle, we are now fully committed in that sleeve. So we are not making any new commitments. However, there still is capital being invested from the underlying investments. So you will continue to see this contributed capital number go up, and the distributions amount going up. During Q2, we didn't have any distributions at the fund net level, but post Q2, we actually did have quite a few distributions. And so far since Q2 have returned almost $7 million. So this distribution number will go up. Those distributions were from array of investments at the underlying level, from both fund investments, so private equity funds returning capital from realizations, and also co-investments. So companies, investments that we've made directly into companies that have been realized or have had some sort of realization and event and have returned capital to us. When we look at the returns for Q2, as I mentioned, very similar to Q1, and across the private equity market, that was a similar, that happened across the market, where there was not a huge amount of movement from one quarter to the next. So when we turn to the back of the presentation, you'll be able to see it in a little bit more detail, but in Q1, we had a 1.79 times multiple, and in Q2, we had a 1.76. So a little movement, but not a lot. For series 2, as a reminder, this is where we're now making new commitments. In fact, over Q2, we continued with our plan, and in coordination with Dinesh and team, we made one additional primary investment and 5 new co-investments over that Q2 time period. We've since made additional commitments, all within our kind of annually investment pace and plan. The net multiple for series 2 did go down a little bit, but that was not from valuations. It was simply from more capital being put to work, which is now held at cost. So it's kind of just a re-leveling of returns based on more capital going into the ground. At an underlying level, we committed or invested almost $10 million in that quarter to new investments. And just to give you a little preview, this is Q2. For Q3, it is vastly the same. Realization or valuations were pretty much par across the market and in your portfolio as well. So I wouldn't expect to see a ton of movement in net multiples for Q3. And we'll continue to watch Q4 and see where that turns out. I will move to page 11 to give a little bit more detail on performance by series 1, and then I'll move to series 2. As I mentioned, you can see the difference here in returns from Q1 to Q2. Not a ton of movement, and you can see the benchmark or the quartiles for Q1 here in this benchmark. And then at the top, we have it broken out by investment type. So primaries, which is making an investment into a fund, secondaries, and co-investments, investment into a specific company. Again, quarter to quarter, those numbers really didn't change too much in series 1. If we look at series 2, you'll see multiple numbers here for Q1 and Q2, and as I mentioned, Q2 did go down primarily because of additional capital being put to work. The quartiling for investments that are this recent does not exist. So we will wait until this is more mature and a more relevant number in return. And until the benchmarks are available, they're not even available at this time. So when that time comes, we will put those in here. For primaries, secondaries, co-investments within this program, you'll see the capital that is put into secondaries. That is a typical kind of write-up from buying an investment at a discount, which is exactly what secondaries are supposed to do within your portfolio. It's on a small amount of capital, so the 2.2 is really nice within the portfolio, but it's a smaller amount. And then primaries, very much still developing as investments and funds are investing capital. Right at the beginning, there's an opportunity, or they typically experience some sort of a J curve. So that's what we're seeing here. And then co-investments kind of slowly developing, and we'll be continuing to put capital to work there. So I will, and then this page 13 is the combined of both series 1 and series 2. I'm going to pause just for a moment and see if there's any questions, or if the team or Dinesh has anything else to add.
Hi, Casey, this is Howard. I do have a question. I guess in this environment, maybe Dinesh, you can also understand this, DPI is the new IR. And is there a way we can get DPI on some of the underlying ones? Just so, 'cause I know you grossed it up and you have everything here on slide, whatever, 11. But just so I get a sense of, you know, what's contributing to, you know, where DPI is either low or high or whatever. Is that possible?
Yeah, definitely.
Benchmark is also available, since both Newberger and Nikita in the quarterly private markets reports are both using Burgess. So previously we used Cambridge, which didn't have DPI benchmarking, but Burgess does. So we can get that added. And actually, this quarter on the private markets report, which you'll see next, that actually does.
Yeah, I saw that in the Nikita report. Yeah, okay. That would be great. Thanks. Thank you, Casey.
Question, just a confirmation. This is for Q2 report, and based on what I've seen, just the numbers like the IRR and some of the other metrics. Can I assume that if you mark the portfolio NAV to NAV, the performance was pretty much flat to negative?
Casey might have the actual number, but I think it was slightly positive.
Okay.
In the 1 to 2.
What was it? Yeah, I didn't see that number, sorry. What is it? Casey?
Are you asking for Q3 specifically?
No, just, if you have Q3, that'd be good too. I'm just kind of confirming what I'm seeing for
Yeah,
Q2.
so, yeah, for Q2, overall valuations were par, and you know, maybe 0.% up a little bit, but very much just kind of an even quarter.
Flat, okay. And Q1 was, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head.
Q1 was very similar. Yeah, we've had quite a few quarters now in a row across the market and within the portfolio that have been very close to par, slightly one way or the other by quarter, but very, very similar.
Okay, yeah, because this leads me to ask the next question, which is, I've been kind of thinking about the factors that drive private equity returns. And I'm always sensing that interest rate, inflation scenario, valuation are sort of primary factors in my mind. And I could be a little bit off. That drives returns. And I was just wondering, in preparation for next year's expected return and asset allocation review, do you think that private equity going forward is gonna be impacted by interest rates, inflation, because interest rates, I don't think it's gonna get back to where it was. Inflation probably gonna be more elevated than before. Would that lead to a lower expected return for this asset class going forward? Just kind of general question. I know may not have enough time to answer, but just maybe
Yeah.
very level. Am I going down the right direction in terms of how you should think about private equities?
So when you think about all of those factors you mentioned, specifically interest rates, what that has done over the last couple years really is slowed down realizations. It does take time for that type of a change to roll through and have both a buyer and a seller within the private equity market agree on a valuation that works from both sides. Because when you think about interest rate, your seller bought the company in a lower interest rate environment, and now the buyer needs to buy it, and he will have a higher cost of capital. So coming to a valuation that makes sense has been harder. So from that standpoint, I agree with you. However, when we look at returns, and we're very active, as you can tell, in the co-investment world. So we're seeing a lot of transactions that private equity firms are doing. We're doing diligence alongside of them. We're working through their modeling and seeing what their return expectations are. The return expectations are the same, if or not a little bit higher. And they are having to take into account that interest rate change. And they're having to compensate by really working the companies and operating them in a way that's much more efficient, by growing the top line, becoming more efficient, making margins better. So they just really have to focus on that. And that has been a trend for years within private equity, but especially important right now. Typically, and we have historical data on this, returns that we have, or current valuations within a 2-quarter time span. So if you think, okay, a company exits within the private equity world, it is typically sold at a higher valuation than what it was held at before. So we haven't seen a lot of transactions taking place at lower returns. And so that's always a positive sign. So for years and years, there have been many things that the private equity industry, much like other industries, have had to work through. And I think it does take time, but it happens. And I'm probably a little bit biased because I work in the private equity industry, but I do believe that returns will continue similar to how they have for the last 30 to 40 years.
Thank you very much.
And one distinction to also point out, it depends on large cap versus small cap private equity. So large cap is more akin to public equities, where it's driven more by revenue growth, top line, less about margins, operational improvement. Whereas the small and mid cap, which is about 2/3 of our private equity investments, there is an opportunity to create value in different ways than just relying on the macro. So that's been benefiting our investments.
If I can add,
Thanks.
I mean, the underlying, the macroeconomic factors that drive public equity in the long run will also drive the returns of private equity. That's the bottom line. So if it's going to be a challenging market for public equity, it's going to be a challenging market for private equity. And if it's going to be an easier environment for public equity, it will also make it an easier environment for private equity in the long run. But to your point of higher interest rates, I think, yes, that is going to cause some headwind because these are leveraged investments. So to that extent, you have to adjust your expectations. And I'll be curious to see Makita's capital market assumptions this year. It is a 10 and 20-year number, so it is smooth, but I think that will be somewhat indicative of what the expectation is for private equity.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get myself in the team here, the board, ready for the future discussions we're gonna have. And I think your answer makes perfect sense. So thank you.
Any other questions for Casey or link to the next issue done?
Yeah, I think Casey, thank you, Casey, thank you for your.
Thank you very.
Thank you.
We have Nikita up next. Thank you. I'm glad your flight made it.
Thank you. Apologies for our tardiness and thank you for your
Oh, no.
flexibility on the
Welcome.
agenda. I'm Laura Wyworth from Nikita Investment Group, Colin Kowalski, my colleague, and we're both based in San Diego, where it's usually very simple to get up to San Jose, a little more challenging today, but Colin's going to start out by presenting our private markets report, and then I'll move to the pension and healthcare.
Absolutely, and good morning, everyone. Give me 1 second to pull the slides up. I'll get started. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and provide an update on the private markets report. This is through the end of the second quarter. This first page here shows a dashboard of the underlying programs. As of the end of the second quarter, from top to bottom there, you can see the legacy private equity and the NB Fund 1, which we've just gone through. The remaining 4 programs there, we cover in more detail on this report, but we have the private debt, real estate, real assets, and venture capital programs there in order of inception year. The middle of the table there shows some statistics, and then I'll draw your attention to the far right side, which shows some of the performance statistics through the end of the second quarter. You have the TVPI as well as the IRR columns, and then on the far right is the public market equivalent benchmark, and that's just a measure of what that program would have returned if invested in the appropriate public market indices. If you look at the IRRs top to bottom here for each program, almost all of them, with the exception of venture capital, are outpacing that public market index. And so it's great to see the programs performing well and earning that premium over the public markets. In aggregate, the total private markets programs have returned 9.7% on an IRR basis. The next page here shows more details on the private debt program. This is a more mature program, started in 2010. The chart in the middle of the table there, the middle of the page there shows the allocation over time. As of the end of the second quarter, the allocation was 4.8% relative to the 4% target, so slightly overweight, and it's been that way for the past several quarters. This program has returned 6.8% since inception. The next page shows some cash flow details, and there was a new commitment made this quarter to Silver Point Fund 2 and the amount of $21 million. And then I'll go ahead and jump to page 5 here, and this shows the individual partnerships, this page and the next show them in vintage year order. You can see all the funds there listed top to bottom, some statistics in the middle, and then on the far right are the performance statistics. So as mentioned earlier, we do have the DPI column as well as peer DPI, TVPI, and peer TVPI columns, as well as the IRRs and peer IRRs. Performance up and down the board, it looks very strong, particularly for a number of funds. I'll highlight vintages 2018 to present all look really strong on an absolute basis and compared to peers. So we're happy to see continued strong performance out of private debt. Page 7 shows the.
Sorry, I had a quick question.
Absolutely.
In 2014, there was a little bit of anomaly with the DPI is at 0.89, which seems low, and it looks like it's attributed to one fund. Is there any update on that? Is there hope for that to distribute? I'm just curious. It's like Shoreline.
Yeah, it's still been its distribution period as a fund that, hasn't been around for close to 10 years yet, but Dinesh might have more detail.
Yeah, so this fund in particular is investing in Chinese NPL. So as you can imagine, liquidity challenge currently in this environment, but they are working towards returning that capital.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Of course. Page 7 just shows the vintage year and geographic focuses. As I mentioned, private debt's a more mature program, and so it's been diversified across vintage years very well. You can see that from the pie chart here. Page 8 jumps into the real assets program. This is a bit of a newer program, started in 2016. So as you can see, the allocation has been built up over time. It's now at 2.5% as the end of the second quarter, relative to that 4% target. So trending upwards and getting closer to the full allocation as it grows. And the program has returned a 10.8% IRR. There was one new commitment made during the quarter. That's Whole Street Fund 3 in the amount of $18 million. Again, we have the individual partnerships here on pages 11 and 12. Performance for a number of these looks fairly good, but about half of them are still not meaningful. So as I mentioned, this is a newer program. These funds haven't had quite enough time to really have meaningful numbers. And so you can see performance for those are still in a not meaningful stage. From a vintage year and geographic focus perspective, diversification looks good across these metrics with the pie charts on page 13. The next program is real estate. This is a bit older, started in 2012, and so you can see the allocation over time. It's out at 4.4% now relative to the 4% target, so slightly overweight from that perspective, and it's returned 10.1% on an IRR basis since inception. No new commitments this quarter. Individual partnerships here on page 17 and 18, some good individual performance if you look at those performance comparisons on individual funds. I'll mention that, and on page 18 you can see the newer commitments. There's not many newer commitments. 2013 and 2023 and 2024, not many new commitments there. Staff has remained patient in this regard. Sure, I see a question.
Page 17.
Yeah.
I see episode 3, 4, and 5. So we did make a commitment in 2019, but they seem to all have poor performance.
Yeah, so these funds are investing in Europe, and the 2019 fund was actually made in the prior year, but they didn't start investing until 2019. So part of this is Europe specific, and then part of it is also currency. These are euro denominated funds, so the dollar strength has led to lower returns compared to the dollar denominated.
Compared to peers, they've done fine.
Compared to peers in Europe,
Yeah.
Probably on average, or slightly below average. It's an area that we haven't focused on, Europe-specific real estate investments. So since that 2018 investment in episode 5, we haven't made any investments focused on Europe. Have found better opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dinesh. I will go ahead and wrap up here with the venture capital program. This is very new, started in 2020. You can see allocation has built up. It's now at 1.8% an allocation at the end of the second quarter relative to that 4% target. So it's been building over time, and it's has a 3.9% IRR since its founding. No new commitments this quarter. And then you can see on page 23 the underlying partnerships. Some results for those older ones, but most of these are either not meaningful or still very much in their infancy. So some good progress within venture capital, and we're excited to see the program grow over time. That concludes my prepared remarks. We've included a handful of pages at the end of this book that go into private markets more broadly. Welcome to read at your leisure, and we're happy to answer any questions at this time.
I'm sorry. The next item, I guess it's still with you, Laura.
That's right, yes. So we'll move on to the pension. Thank you for your questions during the private markets presentation. I'll start on page 5 of the Q24 pension report. You see many very strong returns for various asset classes on this page. Nothing negative for the year to date or Q3 period through September 30th in terms of these major asset classes. Since that time, markets have been more mixed. The US equity market has done quite well since the end of September, up almost 6% for the S&P 500. Every other major index, for the most part, has been negative since the end of September. That said, the fiscal year returns that your CIO reported are still strong and making good progress toward your assumed rate of returns. But luckily today, we get to focus on the Q3 performance, which was quite strong. So if we move to page, we have in here, as we do normally, an executive summary, a watch list a lot of other slides on the economic market environment, but I know that you sit here a few hours into your meeting, so I will cut to the chase in terms of your funds, asset allocation and performance, and happy to take any questions on any other items. But if we skip ahead to page 30 and look at the asset allocation of the pension fund, you can see that the total market value as of the end of September was 5.4 billion. That was up from 5.1 billion as of June 30th. You had almost 200 million in investment gains for the 3-month period ended September 30th. Total investment gains were 198.6 million during the third quarter. You can see that asset allocations were quite close to targets. That growth portion of the portfolio, 73.5%, is very strong in the market environment that we had. Skipping to the next slide on page 31, you can see total fund performance. Really phenomenal absolute returns, with the quarter up 3.8%, the year-to-date period, so the first 9 months of the year at 9.3%, and the trailing 1 year at 15.4%. So, you know, more than exceeding your annual return expectation for that trailing 1 year period. 3, 5, and 10-year returns strong as well. When we think of sort of a full market cycle, we think about 5 years typically, and you see there a return that's outperforming the relevant benchmarks and ranks highly in the peer group. In particular, when we look at asset classes, you can see that US equity was up 34.5% for the trailing 1 year period. You have a lot of index exposure that's inexpensive in that asset class, and it got you a very strong return. And then we see weaker returns in some of the non-US asset classes. If we take a look at the next page, at page 32, I'll point out that for the trailing 1 year, you did have international emerging markets equities with a weaker return than the US, but a weaker return ended up being about 25% for a trailing 1 year period. So still quite strong on an absolute basis. Private markets did not keep up with public markets in this market environment, but if you take a look at the longer term returns, you see why we have private markets in the portfolio. On average, private markets have earned 10.2% per year over the last 5 years, which is a stronger return than the public markets have. So diversification has served the plan well. If we get into individual managers, those returns start a few slides ahead on 35. I mentioned that there's a watch list that every manager that has 3 or 5 year performance below a benchmark is listed on in the executive summary. I just wanted to highlight a couple of managers. One manager in the portfolio in emerging markets equity on page 37 is GQG. If you take a look on the far right, GQG since inception has nearly doubled the benchmark return and ranked in the top decile of the peer group. However, their quarter performance was quite weak for the most recent quarter. GQG tends to hold a lot more India than China exposure, and that's one reason they've done so well over the time since you've hired them. But China announced a lot of stimulus measures in late September, and GQG did trail. They have outperformed the benchmark since the end of September. One other thing I wanted to make you aware of is that GQG invested a portion of their portfolio in a company called Adani, ADANI. You may see headlines. The chief executive of Adani was charged with bribery by the SEC and the Department of Justice. The companies have not been implicated in any way. It's been the individual, and those shares have recovered since that was announced in mid to late November. Just wanted to make you aware. GQG specifically is listed as a company on the Australian Stock Exchange, and their share price came down. So that's something we're watching closely just to make sure, you know, there are occasionally in the emerging markets these types of situations with companies, but we want to make sure that it's not a distraction for GQG going forward. So we're in close contact with them. I wanted to highlight risk-adjusted returns in particular, because we want to pay attention not just to the returns of the plan, but the risk positioning as well. So if we look at pages 57 to 59, in particular, I think I'll look at 59. So we like to look at the Sharpe ratio and the Sortino ratio here, and a higher number is better. So you can see here the trailing 5 year return has outranked the peer group. The standard deviation has been much lower than the peer group at 8.7 versus 10 for the median. And so therefore the measures of risk adjusted return like the Sharpe ratio and the Sortino ratio, which is unit of risk for downside deviation, have ranked in the top quartile. So these, we've had a really strong market environment. Performance has been a little bit, in the last 3 months behind the benchmark and peers. That really to us is a measure of, slightly less risky portfolio than peers. With that, there's a lot of other information in here, but I'll wrap up my pension comments and take any questions before moving on to healthcare.
Okay, if I could start. So if you go to page 31, yeah, just in terms, so grade 3, 5-year performance, I guess, compared to, I guess if I look at the DB plans greater than $1 billion, is that a good reference point? So the 1 year, is that principally because we have higher private exposure compared to the peer group?
Part of it is a little bit less US exposure, and more
US exposure,
global
okay.
portfolio as well. And there's another slide in here that might be helpful. And as we discuss peer relative performance is page 62. We have a comparison of asset allocation relative to peers. So you can see that there is a bit lower US equity exposure and higher private equity as well.
Okay, page 62. Okay. How much lower US exposure?
These are self-reported numbers, so take them with a grain of salt. For example, you have a global equity allocation, other folks might not. They might only have international and US. We do show that of the plans that have reported a separate US equity exposure, the pension fund stands at about third quartile for US equity exposure, but then has higher than median global equity exposure. So you think, you're somewhere less than median US equity exposure, but probably not the bottom quartile.
Yeah, and maybe something for us to think about, I think.
Yes, and it is something that we've been talking with your staff about.
Given, I guess, some of the changes in the US, I mean, sustained outperformance, and as a CIO, she's a Chevron decision, right?
Yep.
But a lot of positive things in the US, I guess, some of the.
From a valuation perspective, the US continues to look really expensive, so it just depends on how we weight, sort of market environment relative to valuation.
Yeah, but I think going back to what Dave Kwan said, I think, the thing which strikes me, I guess, as a financial professional is the extent of financial innovation in the US, which the rest of the world is lacking. A good example is, I joked about private credit, but it's just like as the banks pull back, private, credit has just stepped in, right? Supporting the economy. And I think those kinds of innovations, not happening to the same extent in Europe, Japan, emerging markets, etc. A few other questions. So in looking at different public equity managers, so good, Artisan looks like it's doing a bit better, global opportunities, so that's good. They had a good quarter, right? Red Wheel, emerging markets, I see a kind of sustained underperformance. I've looked at their on Morningstar. Very high turnover churn, 114% churn. Is that,
Yeah, they have a high turnover, and the reason for their sustained underperformance is they have been quite bullish in China.
Yeah.
A bit early.
So you speak to the mic.
Yeah. Started last year, so they have been a little early in China.
Yeah.
And a little bit of small cap and growth has observed. So if you compare them with DFA, the performance pattern is very different.
okay. The two India funds, India has done great, but it looks like we've kind of not maybe done as good a job in picking managers there.
So this India index funds, we've had some conversations with active managers. We still believe active management is the right way to go. But if we look at India, one issue that may not impact like a US investor is tax, because they have a short-term tax of 20%. And long-term capital gain tax of 12.5%. So if we compare iShare India passive fund with the MSCI India index, on a 3-year basis, they are underperforming by more than 300. So even though our active managers may be lagging a little bit, but it's mainly because of the tax issue. We are looking for ways if we could mitigate that impact, but it's under investigation.
Okay. GQG, we talked about, Iguazu, I guess they're still, not catching up, I guess. I mean, I think the quarter was, and I guess I go back to, there was a kind of a change in the manager, right, in terms of the decision making. I mean,
Yeah, so the lead PM turned over, we talked
Yeah.
about that at the DEC, I think, and that was a few years ago, the current lead PM, was sick.
You come to the mic.
Sure. There was a change in the portfolio manager, that was a few years ago, the guy who took over got sick, had an accident, he's been out of commission for a few months. He's back, his backup ran his sleeve of the portfolio in a very similar style, but, yes, there were still some level of disruption there. I think overall, that particular strategy is gonna lag E&P and, you know, risk on rally there, so, you can see though that over longer time periods.
Yes.
Of the economic cycle there, it's done very well.
yeah. And just out of curiosity, Crable, following the underperform, what did they miss, I guess, in terms of market trends?
They missed a lot.
Yeah,
I think relative to other, trend following overall had a rough couple quarters. Crable relative to other liquid trend strategies is a little bit broader.
yeah,
And so they're in some of these smaller markets that you might find in more of the alternative trend strategies that are more expensive. That's one of the reasons we chose that.
yeah,
It just so happens that over those couple quarters, those markets underperformed even the more liquid kind of equity and rate futures markets.
they've done well over 3 years, so that seems like good.
Yeah, I think they've done what we expected them to do, right? Say over 2020 COVID, 2022, when everything else was falling apart, trend performs. Now we have a market now that's in a bit of transition. You think back to kind of rate expectations, for example, right? You went into this cutting cycle expecting 6 cuts, then 5, then 4, and you know, what did you get at the end? And so if you think about how the market was positioned relative to what it actually received. It's a period of transition that momentum strategies will kind of struggle with. What we're hoping for, kind of expecting is a heightened vol environment, but something a little bit less mixed. So maybe sustained higher for longer rates, that'll affect commodities as well, FX as well. And we'll see how equities play out.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of the managers you highlighted are ones that, you know, really protect quite a bit in down market environments. And in a portfolio that has, you know, a variety of active managers, you are gonna certainly have challenges in the short term. Many of those groups also have done really well over the very long term.
Yeah, if I can just add one point to the earlier comment, yeah, I'm a big believer in American exceptionalism. And I think the US will continue to outperform the rest of the world. And we can talk about that when we have our asset allocation discussion. But I would just point out that, you know, you referenced the September 30th numbers for quarter to date, year to date, 1 year. But I just pulled up the June 30th numbers and they look great.
Okay.
So there's always this
Yeah,
risk of
sort of, yeah.
looking at, you know,
familiar with that,
yeah.
I had a question. Hey, I had a, oh, sorry, guys. So I thought slide 14 was interesting. It was about recent market strength China. So given, you know, what the future holds or what it may not hold with the new administration and potential conflict, trade conflicts with China, how should we think about investments? Should we be ready to take action on a swift basis, or what should be our perspective?
We encourage you strongly to continue to focus on the long term rather than short term news and politics. You know, this chart that you referenced, I think actually is a good indication because we had a great number come from China in the third quarter, and then China's down 9% since the end of the third quarter. So we've been talking in depth about China with you all, as you know, during the last asset allocation process, and with many of our clients. They're, you know, regardless of who's in in power in the United States. China has some ongoing risks, but it's still a huge driver of the global economy and a big part of the emerging markets and the global indexes. So it's an area that we want to think about, during the asset allocation process, as we will the US relative to the rest of the US as a whole.
Okay, all right, thank you.
This is really good. I mean, as always, lots of information, so thank you very much. But, one thing, would love to see is something that summarizes our overall portfolios to major sources of risk. And I don't, just like we were talking about currency, and I said, oh, yeah, that is a, risk factor I should be focused on. But, I didn't think about it until SY highlighted it. So there were like a summary page, just like you have a summary page of your performance, a summary page of your risk factors that can drive returns. I don't know how you could do it. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I'm not saying you have to get one, but it would be nice to get something along those lines for a presentation.
Yeah, so we already do that, and so the various risk
Yeah.
report,
Oh,
but we
okay.
only present it to the IC, not to the board.
Oh, I see. I
But
see.
we can certainly,
I see.
we can make a note of that.
Yeah.
And we can bring the summary page as part of this performance
Oh,
package.
yeah, that'd be good.
which-
That'd be
yeah,
good. Thank you.
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
didn't
sorry.
realize it only went to the IC. I remember.
Yeah, it goes only to the IC and, and as you would expect, there's various ways of dissecting risk. One way is the 90% of it comes from equity exposure.
Yeah, I get it.
And then among the factor buckets, we tend to be neutral in terms of style overall.
Right.
But a lot of it is just the growth exposure.
I hear you. Thank you. Thank you.
Should I move on to healthcare briefly? Great, okay, so the healthcare trust, as you know, is a smaller, more liquid type of portfolio that uses the same overall strategy as the pension fund. On page 27 of the healthcare report, you can see the total asset allocation market value at 382 million as of the end of September. The way that broke down was since the end of June, it was 337.6 million. There were net cash inflows of 25 million during the quarter and investment gains of almost 20 million, 19.2 to be exact. The asset allocation and the returns are on page 28. Being a portfolio that's more exposed to public equity markets, this portfolio is up 5.2%. For the quarter ended September 30th, bringing the year to date to 10.7 and the trailing year performance to 18.7. Within the health and welfare peer group, you can see that every trailing time period is within the top quartile of that peer group because the peers tend to be a bit less risky than this fund is. And so having more growth assets than peers was very positive for the portfolio. Taking a look at risk-adjusted returns as we did on the other plan, if you take a look at page 39, you can see returns almost in the top decile for the last 5-year period. There is a higher risk than the peer group at 10.7 relative to a peer median of 6.8. However, even given that higher risk than the peer group, the risk-adjusted returns are in the top quartile of the peer group for the health and welfare fund. So I'm happy to take any questions on health and welfare. Health fund relative to the health and welfare universe. Sure.
Again, I maybe I should know this, but I'm not part of the investment committee, so, so I apologize in advance for asking these questions. I noticed that international and emerging market exposure is higher in this portfolio than in the other one. And I forgot, is there a rationale? I might have missed that.
The rationale is asset allocation related. It has to do with the fact that this portfolio cannot do private assets. And so in order to get to an expected return set in terms of the actuarial expected return, if you need to get to a higher return and you can't do private markets assets, emerging in particular has a higher expected return.
Yeah, I now.
And this is
No, I
something else
understand.
that we talk about, and we can talk about more in depth during asset allocation.
Yeah, I apologize. Like I said, I forget these things just because
I mean-
I'm not exposed to it every month.
You could be forgiven for forgetting that emerging markets equity has a higher expected return because it hasn't panned out that way.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I know. That's why I think we need to, look more closely at these expected returns going forward. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I might just add that there's no reason to apologize if you're asking the questions that might.
Oh, just in case.
Because, I mean, I think that's how we're structured. IC has only 4 members now, but the board is responsible for everything, so I don't know. And I hope the chair of IC agrees with me. Please don't apologize. Yes.
I guess, it's a force of habit.
Yeah. Well, I did
I'm
that-
sorry.
I did that. I did that.
I
for a
couldn't
while.
help that one. That was late.
Okay, thank you very much, as always. An insight. Okay. So, I guess we're down to the elections for the chair and vice chair. The chair conveniently left me with this. Well, he's at Cabo, I think, but, anyway. So I know we decided to nominate Franco again to continue with the, what, the good work he's been doing, and also just to remind everybody, we all kind of stumbled around this, a year ago when Drew left. So I guess I just want to know if there's a move, should we just, any discussion for the chair position? Yeah, so I mean, I just, my only comment was, that we kind of, wanted stability in this position. Normally this is a rotational position, so we wanted Franco to continue, and so let me.
Well, I have one quick, what's the term? If for these nominations, is this for a specific term or just?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So the board has a policy on the election of board officials. It's for a 1-year term, but the year is based on a calendar year. And so this nomination would roll over into January. That's when he would start his term for the nomination here. Chair Ganapati, if I may just read the procedures.
yeah.
Yeah, so, in the election process, so considering this as well as the next agenda item, which is the vice chair position, this is the procedures for electing a member to either of those positions. Let me just read it directly from our policy, which is at the December regular meeting of the board will elect one of the board chair nominees and one of the board chair, vice chair nominees to fill the respective roles by open vote. An affirmative vote of 6 board members is required to select the board chair and the vice chair. In the event that there are more than 2 nominees and none receive 6 votes, then a runoff will be held between the 2 nominees with the highest number of votes. If an election for either position fails to result in a nominee receiving 6 votes, and after good faith effort has been made to achieve such votes during the regular board meeting, then a board member will be selected at random, by random draw to serve in the vacant position until such time as the required votes are obtained at the follow-up elections. A follow-up election shall be scheduled for the next regular board meeting and shall be repeated at said meeting or at a subsequent meeting until a candidate is selected.
So it's not a majority, it's 6.
It's 6 for both chair and vice chair.
Is there anything about rotation between, but,
Land and private?
yeah,
I believe that was removed last year.
Yes, it's not in the policy.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're only, how many are we today? 7.
Seven.
Seven,
Yeah.
so.
All right, do we have a motion to?
I'm sorry, did we get a motion on that?
Not on Franco yet.
Okay.
We're still on Franco.
yeah, I'll move a motion.
Motion by, second, I'll second. Hey, trustee Quan, you want a second? So,
Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, sure. I'll second.
trustee, a motion by, trustee Menon, second by trustee Quan. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, can I,
Any opposed?
okay,
Oh.
yeah. I would, if you could raise your hands just so I can make sure there are 6. All right, thank you.
Seven.
There's 7.
Okay, the next one is a little awkward because it's about, I mean, I'm one of the nominees. Happy to entertain any comment, I guess, I might say that when I looked at it, I was trying to separate the position and the stability for the plan versus myself. And looking at this as if I was not the nominee, and I think the intention of, typically, I think this position has rotated. Was to have stability in the chair seat, because the last couple of years have been fairly rocky with the board. And I thought I might suggest that we use the same lens for the vice chair seat. David Kwan is equally qualified. This is not about who's better off, and I think, any other comments, that's sort of the lens I wore when I thought about it.
Yeah, if I could, since I did propose that for Sunita, so if I could say something, again, David is obviously qualified too, even though he's a newbie among trustees.
2.5 years.
Not yet.
No, I'm not the newbie anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
We have a new newbie.
That's right.
And hey, I only have to be the newbie for one meeting.
The other one's back there.
But I think, what I would say is, our old chair, Drew Lancer, used to say, I mean, he would expound on what makes successful boards. Now, I don't know that area as much as he does, but I would say that, stability, continuity is important, right? That was kind of my thinking in supporting Sunita. And I would say over the last 18 months, this board has dealt with a lot of issues, right? I mean, we tried to keep stability in the investment staff. We have proposals, the JP's spent a lot of time in coming up with proposals in terms of incentive compensation. We have a new CEO, our old chair, I guess left, right? And somewhat dramatic circumstances. And so I think, to me, that stability and continuity is important. And, so I think that would go to supporting Sunita. And I think if you look at the results, I would say that this board, we've not been successful in everything, but broadly, I would say we've been successful, right? I mean, I think if I look at, I've been here, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, I think. I think funding status is good. When I look at, performance as CIO, I always say stability of the investment staff. That's been great. And I think the board itself seems to get along. I mean, so hopefully we can stay that course. And I think one of the big issues that we had, especially the last, was the audit issue. And I think the vice chair, as chair of the audit committee, I thought did a pretty good job. And maybe Howard, as a committee member, can opine on that too. And I think last year when we looked for vice chair, nobody was doing set up. I know Dave very kindly suggested me. I don't have the bandwidth, so I said, it could be somebody else. And I think Sunita stepped up. And most importantly, she suggested changing our start time to 9 a.m., which made a big difference to my life. So, anyway, that's what I would say.
All right, no. The reason I nominated Dave instead of Sunita is, Sunita, not that you've been doing a bad job or anything like that. But I do have some concerns. I think every board needs a voice of dissent, which you have provided, on and off throughout. It allows us to have discussion and think differently and stuff like that. And it's a very valuable point to have on a board. And I think you've done a great job since I've been on board, because you outbeat me. However, my concern is if that voice of dissent is the one that leads the board. And so when you're in the vice chair position, you're also in the position to take over as chair should something happen to the vice chair. Or when the chair retires, typically the vice chair will take chair position. And if the voice of dissent is the one that drives the board, we could go in a direction that the rest of the board wasn't normally set to go. I've seen on occasions where you've disagreed with fiduciary counsel's advice. I've seen on occasions where you've disagreed with our consultant's advice. Like I said, as a trustee, that's productive because it helps us think in different directions. As chair, I think it's counterproductive. That's one of the main reasons I nominated David Kwan, is just for succession planning moving forward.
I'd like to add, I think one aspect of a board that functions well is not just continuity and stability, but also a level of experience in dealing with all the different people on the board, you know, all the elements of our ecosystem. And you know, based on my opinion, I think Sunita, especially after the work that she did with the audit committee, I think she showed the balance of both dissent and constructive work to move forward, because really it was a problem-solving effort. And I'm confident that she can sort of manage that dissent aspect, Dave, that you mentioned. I'm confident she can do that in the role of the chair when it's absolutely necessary.
Can I ask a quick question? As the new person on the board, it was mentioned that historically the roles have rotated essentially every year. I just want to get sort of a sense of how that's not a policy, but how set in stone is probably too strong a word, but how set in stone has that rotation been? As to Howard's point, there is the benefit of continuity, but there's also the benefit of new blood and changing the thinking. So just trying to get a better sense of what the board has seen historically on this front. And then also, Sunita, just ask you, how long exactly have you been in the role of vice chair?
I mean, I'll let Ishwar probably answer the question on the rotation, because he's been around longer than I, well, actually Dick Santos has been on this. But I believe it was pretty consistent. I know that since I've been in the board, I joined in the middle of COVID. I remember being on YouTube video waiting all day for an interview, but I believe that there was one period when I know Andrew was chair when I joined, and then Drew was vice chair, and then they flipped. And Drew stayed on for another year because he was in the middle of the VC strategy and a few other things. That's my recollection. So before that, I can't speak to it, but I believe it's been a fairly consistent rotation. As far as vice chair, no, as Ishwar alluded, the previous chair left in a pretty dramatic way. And then Franco became acting chair, and then we had the nomination in the month after. And Ishwar being the longest serving member, and then Howard is a few months longer than me. We went through and I said, okay, I took on the vice chair with the agreement that Howard would step into chair of audit committee. So, and this year has been a little less volatile than last, well, that's not true, actually. It's been pretty volatile in itself. So I feel like there is certain unfinished stuff that, would be good to have the continuity, but yeah, that sort of answers your question.
Yeah, just a few words. First, I'm very honored to have been nominated by Dave Wilson. It's probably one of your last acts before you leave the board. I want to say that me accepting the nomination should not be viewed as disrespect to the work that Sunita has done over the past, year. I think you've done a fabulous job. I can't complain about that. I accepted the nomination because I view that I had the capacity to do so. Just because I'm only on the governance committee, I think I could take on a bigger role and have more duties and make a bigger impact. So that was the reason for accepting the nomination. Certainly beyond that, now that I've done it, been on the board for 2.5 years, I definitely have a good sense of the dynamics of the board, as well as the dynamics amongst the members. And I think I agree with Eshwar. We all work in a very collegial manner. And so also, I think I have a good working relationship with the staff. Maybe, and I ask too much from you guys sometimes, and maybe with the city. So yeah, I'm comfortable being nominated, and I thought it would be just interesting to kind of go through this process and see whether we get to a process where we pick names. But again, no disrespect to you, Sunita.
Thank you.
I like all
think
the things that you've done.
Disrespect. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, Madam Chair. Yeah, I would, the way I understand it, the next year, to be chair would be a non-uniform. That's the process. Did that not change?
No, so we've taken out the rotation of the switch between the two, but if something, for example, were to happen to Franco, say, an unfortunate event where he wouldn't be able to serve as chair, the policy provides that the vice chair automatically ascends to the chair position, but there's no rotation necessarily.
It's just that the vice chair and the chair have to be.
That's correct, on opposite sides.
So my point was that when the nomination for David, I like Sunita does a fine job, but as a, to see the other person get a potential experience. So if something does happen, you got two qualified people to take over chair. So that would be my feelings. So other than that, everybody here does, great job. And I'm thinking everybody here is qualified to do a great job.
I just wanted to respond to one thing that Dave Wilson said. Yes, I am somebody who likes to think, I won't say think differently, but I'm not afraid of dissent. But I did not dissent on our council. I think she and I had we were communicating at different wavelengths. And we met one-on-one, and since then we've sorted it out. I think we were interpreting each other's comments differently. That was, I think, back in June when we had a meeting. So we've sorted it out. I think it was a communication error. I don't know what made that feel, but at least I took responsibility. And since then, I never realized she thought I was dissenting. And so I think we've sorted it out. And the second thing is it came at a time when there was a lot of grenades being thrown at us. So it was confusing. We had a change of council. So I just wanted to say that. As far as the consultants go, yeah, I've had differing opinions around discount rates on investment returns. But all that said and done, I think that we need to do what's right for the plan. And this is not about me. This is about what's right for the plan. And I'm okay either ways. Like I said last year, I'm not looking to gain fame from this, but I certainly want to do my duty either as a trustee or as a vice chair and trustee to the best of my capacity. Any other comments? All right, so I guess should I ask for
We would need a motion.
motion? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll start with a motion to approve Dave Kwan as vice chair.
I'll second it.
All right. How do we do this? By show of hands?
Yes, that'll be easiest for me to count, make sure we have six.
Okay, do we have a show of hands on the motion?
Do I vote to?
You can if you want to, but you can also abstain.
Okay, so we have 3 votes. I guess that motion didn't pass, right? We have no 6. Okay. Do we have what's next? Do we have a second vote?
Motion to nominate Sunita as the vice chair.
Second.
Motion by trustee Menon and second by trustee Lee to nominate trustee Ganapathy as vice chair. Which by show of hands, how do you vote? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that failed as well.
That failed as well, and so at this point, we would draw from at random all the names of the trustees to serve as vice chair at the next meeting, and we would continue this item for the January meeting.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry, I just needed to record the votes as for Sunita, it was Gretchen, Eshwar, Howard, and myself. Okay, thank you.
Unless it does say that
They take out that, you said they voted again. If they didn't, each one didn't prevail with 6, they voted again, and then they drew.
Runoff?
So it says if an election for either position fails as a result of in nominating, receiving 6 votes, and after a good faith effort has been achieved to get that votes at the regular board meeting, then the board member will be selected by random draw to serve in the vacant position until such time as the required votes are obtained at the follow-up election. The follow-up election shall be scheduled at the next regular board meeting and will be repeated at said board meeting or any subsequent meeting until a candidate is elected.
So it's whether or not.
The random out of the hat is the interim until January, and then a new vote will happen in January.
That's correct.
So it could be any of the
So-
7 people from the draw.
I would say except for Franco, because he is now the chair.
Exactly.
8 people.
Oh, weird.
So it could be any of 8 people. from that?
Maybe we should.
Any of seven. Can't be.
Well, that's right.
Or it can't be Andrew? Oh,
It can't be
It can't
Dave
be me.
stepping down. yeah.
Because I wouldn't be there the whole time.
We don't have Dave in there, right?
I'm traveling.
Does it, given,
I think you can do the honors.
Well, yeah.
given that one has to be,
So it has to
this
be-
has to be the public member,
Oh, interesting.
is
That's
it
right.
Oh.
just among the public members?
Actually, it would be, I think you,
That would
Yeah,
be
that would
right,
be
yeah.
okay, I'm automatically out.
So, hold on, I don't think we did that. We didn't contemplate that. Thank you.
So we just pick one? Sorry, I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah, we just pick one to serve as interim until we re-vote again in January.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so the idea would be in January, we would
Oh, good. So
retry.
if it's not me, then I'm not vice chair anymore. Yes.
But you,
No, that's not true. So
You'd be
you fill
vice
up
chair.
you fill up your term up until the end of the year, because your term is calendar year. So you'll be chair up until December 31st. And then when we come back to January, that person, whoever we draw, will be the vice chair, until we elect a vice chair.
I don't want to be the one that chooses.
The council. should
Yeah,
do it.
maybe we can make
We'll,
that.
we'll go over.
Oh, no, I'm not drawing it.
No,
No, I'm not drawing
Dave,
it.
why don't you draw it?
I'm not gonna look at my own drawing.
well, this is one of our policies that we'll review for next
We're gonna have to
year.
re-govern this.
Oh, this is so crazy.
This is something we received. This before.
Yeah. Did we choose?
Yeah, but I didn't look.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's Ishwar. It had to be you. This is called karma.
See, you shouldn't have declined.
When's the next board meeting? Is it second, January 9th?
It's the second week of January, so
Oh,
not the
okay,
first
good.
Thursday.
It
second.
wouldn't have been in the first week, okay.
So Ishwar, he's the nominee for next time?
No,
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 I'm just a temporary.
yeah, he's just
unskilled.
temporary.
Oh, and then what happens?
And then in January, we try
I
again.
assume there's a rule that says I cannot. run.
Oh, I
So
thought he was the nominee that we voted
Or
on.
not be
So
nominated.
in January, we would have another, 5F on the agenda for January. We'll have, hopefully, we'll have a full board in January, Dave's replacement and, Andrew and Franco.
And then you go to District 3.
Special election.
Okay. What do we have left? Okay. We have 5G, moving on.
Should be simple.
Discussion and action on adoption of the updated city policy manual, employee travel policy revised on November 21st.
So if I may.
Yes, please.
This board has adopted many of the city's policies. As the city updates their policies, we review and identify if there are any that are of concern. Those would go to the governance committee. This was a minor revision to city policy and ORS recommends the board's adoption of this minor change. The minor change was in 5.5.3. And instead of lowest possible rate for lodging, it updated the language to be lowest possible cancelable rate for lodging. So, just a minor change.
Motion to approve.
motion.
Motion by trustee Wilson, second by Sunita. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? For the retirements,
My section, so 6.
Ronald D. Bates, Police Sergeant, Police Department, effective January 4th, 2025, 27.84 years of service. Mark T. Vetta, Police Officer, Police Department, effective January 3rd, 2025, 26.74 years of service with reciprocity. Guillermo E. Davia Pulaje, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Fire Captain, Fire Department, effective January 4th, 2025, 24.55 years of service. Topiu M. Fonua, again, apologies if I mispronounced that, police officer, police department, effective January 5th, 2025, 26.21 years of service. Michael R. Robertson, police officer, police department, effective January 3rd, 2025, 24.56 years of service. Todd L. Trier, police captain, police department, effective January 4th, 2025, 28.8 years of service. And finally, our own David Wilson, police sergeant, police department, effective December 21st, 2024.
No, just stay.
28.3 years of service. Me.
So moved.
Oh, any comments? I think it's.
Yeah. I had
Yes.
comments.
I think we do it after the motion.
Oh, okay. A motion to approve?
I did.
Yeah, we had a motion from trustee Santo, any second?
Second.
Second by trustee Kwan, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Well, of course, we thank all from the service. I appreciate putting their lives on the line. I don't know many of the firefighters, but I do want to point out, Captain Trayer, really a super guy. Had a chance to work with him many times up in where I live in the district and could have been better. And to David again, thank you, David, for all your service and all your hard work. Thank you.
I'll speak to the other guys. Worked with the other sergeants, officers, and Captain Traer. Throughout my career, they're all fine, upstanding guys, and I wish them a very long retirement.
6.2 deferred vested, John T. Cricket, firefighter, fire department, effective December 31st, 2024. 23.37 years of service with reciprocity. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Santos, second by Wilson. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we fortunately have only one death. We'll have a moment of silence after. We have notification of the death of Gary C. Madison, police sergeant, retired August 1st, 1998, died October 13th, 2024. Survivorship benefits to Lisa and Madison's spouse. Moment of silence. Thank you. Any comment?
Yeah, I was a newbie officer, new rookie officer when Gary retired. I barely remember him, but I do remember him. 26 years in retirement, not long enough. My thoughts and prayers go out to his wife and his family and his friends.
Thank you. All right, on to committee meetings.
Did we get a motion for that?
That's just
Notification. Eight, we have a investment committee,
We've not had a meeting, I guess, right?
no meeting, audit and risk committee,
Our last meeting was October 31st. Gave an update at the November meeting. Next meeting is in February. The only update is that the MGO management letter is being presented to the board, or is going to be presented to the board for approval.
That's B.
Yeah.
In section B.
so we have a discussion action on the NGO letter, who's gonna cover the content?
John, is it John?
I would actually have, I think, Jay.
Jay.
Oh, no,
I'm gonna hand this off.
Okay. We can bring this up. Oh.
Okay, the one finding was related to unfunded commitments, so these are related to alternative.
Michael?
No, it's not, thank you.
Megan,
There we go.
restarting.
Okay, so the one finding that came up during this year's audit was related to unfunded commitments. So these are for private funds where we're making commitments ahead of time before they get invested. So investment managers have the ability to invest and call our capital over time and distribute capital back to us. It's not such a simple calculation because certain capital calls, distributions, and distributions in particular are considered recallable. So some of it can be recalled again in the future. And in this case, what the finding was that there were certain managers that the auditor's testing found differences in what the consultants, so Makita and Newberger Berman, had reported as unfunded commitments in their reporting versus what the manager had reported. Two primary reasons for this. One is timing, because this is as of Q2 2024. So here we are in December, finally presenting the private markets report. So it takes the consultant some time to reconcile the data. Valuations in particular for some of the funds take 45 to 90 days to come in. So there's somewhat of a lag in getting that data. Secondly, there was a difference in methodology of how the consultant Nikita was calculating unfunded commitments. So they were using capital call notices instead of just what is written on certain statements of the outstanding unfunded commitments. So that led to some differences. The auditor made note that these were immaterial overall. And what we're doing right now is working with Nikita and Newburgh Berman to see if we can find a way where they can match up with the managers so that this can be matching what a manager represents as their unfunded commitment.
Any questions, comments? I know this didn't come to the audit committee, it's come directly to the board.
Because it wasn't ready at the time of the last meeting, and then we decided that committee to send it forward to the board in December.
A motion to,
A motion to approve.
a motion by Howard Lee, do I have a second? Second by trustee Santos, how do you vote? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, the motion carries. Governance committee, there's no meeting.
We're gonna be here on the 19th.
Yeah.
Don't go to City Hall.
Visibility committee, Tuesday. No, next meeting is December 9th. Nobody had a meeting on November 15th.
No. Are you talking about the disability committee now?
Mhm.
Okay, anyway, that's on the 9th. It's 1 PM here.
Okay, the meeting, there's no update from the November 15th.
Just have to
That's just the
receive.
minutes and so on.
Okay, so we'll just receive and file the minutes from of the September 9th Disability Committee meeting. And there's the retirement dashboard.
And we usually meet at 10 o'clock, but today, that day, we're gonna meet at 1 o'clock here, half the difference. And we have about 6 or 7, so it's gonna be a major meeting.
The JPC, I guess, hasn't met, so.
Yeah, I believe we have a meeting coming up in January, so.
Let's talk about the agenda for them.
Any proposed agenda items? Any public comments? Hearing none, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and Happy New Year and happy holidays.
Recording stopped.